So today we are going to go plant shopping to fill up the empty beds where I pulled the zinnias. Now, I'm gonna go to my favorite garden center in Chicago, Gethsemane Garden Center. That doesn't mean it's objectively the best, but it's where I got my very first houseplants, 2016, 2017, and that kind of kickstarted my love of everything plants. It was also the first time I had really enough outdoor space to start gardening, but that kind of started it all. So for me, that's why I love going back there. It's also in, well, one, it is fairly large, which having a large garden center in the city is definitely something that can be a bit rare. And it's also in just one of my favorite neighborhoods, which is Andersonville. It's kind of like, maybe more like an artsy neighborhood. So I'm also going to walk up and down, every time I go up there, I walk up and down a couple of the streets where there are a bunch of pretty gardens. So I will show you those gardens that I pass by as well. Maybe we'll see a cat, fingers crossed. But let me, again, just remind you of the beds where I'm looking for replacement items. The most important one I want to fill is the center bed. And this is definitely going to be filled with flowers because, again, this is what I see when I come outside. I want this to look pretty. So while I might start some fall crops in some other beds, this one I specifically want to look pretty and full of colorful flowers. I did end up pulling the Super Tunia Vista bubblegum on the sides. I kind of just wanted a fresh start. I think I could have just cut them back, but I just wanted to start from scratch. And everything that I plan to plant at this point in time, it's not gonna get pulled, or maybe some of them will get pulled depending on what I get, but I would really like to get some echinacea. I'd like to get some pansies, maybe if I'm not too early, so we'll see. But this bed is completely empty. Then we have that bed back there. I did leave the petunias. There's some parsley growing in the front. There's some random statice and asters still in there. That might be a bed that I save for some seeds. I definitely need to get peas, maybe some broccoli seeds as well. And then this bed here is the last bed that I want to fill. So I have an aster, a dahlia. They're all kind of crooked because they are being hidden by the zinnias. Oh, and of course I have the gigantic sunflower, which is opened. This was not opened when I was out here last time. Okay, I'm gonna have to like climb up on a chair so I can look at that. But I think I am gonna leave the asters and the dahlia in there and just find some things to plop in the front. So here's what I'm thinking in terms of my shopping list, but as soon as I get there, I know that I'm just gonna grab whatever looks pretty. But I definitely want, like I said, some echinacea because they come in a variety of colors and they are cut and come again. So I can continue to make my giveaway bouquets, and they are perennials, so they can come back. In fact, I did have some come back that are currently in my perennial bed. Where I plant them now won't be where they stay, I don't think, but I do plan to keep any of the perennials in my garden that I get. So I definitely want to get some echinacea. I want to try to find, this is what I said might be too early, is pansies, because it is still like mid-August, but usually my zinnias last a little bit longer. I don't need to replace them this early, but that was not the case this year. So pansies, because I planted some last fall, I left them in a raised bed, and they came back in spring because we had such a mild winter. That doesn't always happen, but I would love to have pansies that I plant in the fall and then start to grow again in the spring, because I don't do a lot of planting just for spring in my raised beds. So those are kind of my top two. And then I don't know what else, just whatever else I kind of am gravitating towards. I do want things that are taller, like a bit more wispy, because I want them to fill out the beds as they are. So I will probably tend towards larger. Oh, and then seeds. So I need pea seeds. I want to get broccoli seeds. I might get some radish seeds, maybe. I need to check if I have some or not. And then again, whatever else kind of tickles my fancy. So let's go ahead and we'll head out, and I will first show you some of the gardens that I love to walk by up in Andersonville. So I'm back, and look how pretty. I love the selection of plants and colors that I have. I do think that fall color schemes might be one of my favorite because I really do love the jewel toned colors. Now I did go into Gethsemane with the intention of filming some of it to show you my favorite garden center, but I didn't for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was packed, and I don't like to get other people in my footage, who haven't given permission. So it was difficult to try to find some open spaces that didn't have other people in it. Also, my hands were full because as soon as I walked in, I started grabbing things. I do think though, maybe at some point, maybe like the peak of next season, because I'd say each section was about half full from what it normally is. And maybe next spring, right before the rush release starts, but when it's full, I'll ask them if I can get a little tour of the garden center. But they do have, so September 7th and 8th is the sidewalk sale, which there's always a huge discount on items that basically want to get everything out of the store to kind of swap over to like pumpkin patches and more fall items. So if you are here the 7th and 8th, go there, but go early. And also there were still a lot of things, not really these, but there were a lot of other, maybe like garden statuary or other items that were already marked down. They'd probably be more marked down when the actual sale's happening. But if you want to beat the crowds, maybe go there now and see if there's anything you like that's on sale. But here is everything I got. I'm really happy with it. The only thing I couldn't find were pansies, but they said their fall shipment, their very first fall shipment was coming in this week. They just didn't get it yet. So things like the decorative peppers, the pansies potentially. So I'll just have to go back and go shopping again for more plants once the pansies are in. But let me go through with you guys everything that I got. First off are these SunSeekers Sweet Fuchsia Echinacea. I get 2 of every plant, I think. I love this color. There are some spent blooms that I will deadhead before planting these, but these are like a jewel toned pink. Again, pink is my favorite color, which is probably fairly obvious from my garden, but I think these are going to be absolutely stunning. Let's see how large these get. This says 18 to 24 inches tall and wide. These are probably going to go in the center bed. My favorite things are going to go in that center bed. So this is zone 3 through 9. They should overwinter just fine in that raised bed. So I have 2 of these. Let's move them out of the way. Next up, I got again 2 of, what is this? The Autumn Colors Black Eyed Susan, which that's a perfect name for this. I already have a ton of yellow Rebecca in my garden, so I didn't want to add just more pure yellow flowers, but I loved this color combination of the gold yellow on the edges and then the kind of maroon color in the center. I feel like this is just a staple flower. There's a hummingbird. Oh, it's on my Gomphrena. I'm not going to be able to turn the camera on to show you. Okay, it's moved on from the Gomphrena to the tomatoes. Oh, come over here. Oh, it's going to the giant sunflower. I am so sorry. You can't. Okay, hang on. Don't move. Nobody move. No, it's gone. I knew as soon as I stood up it was going to fly away, which it did, but that's the longest, and again, I think it was only a few seconds, but that's the longest I think I've seen a hummingbird stay in the garden while I've been here. Usually they're like in and out, but it started with the Gomphrena, went to the tomatoes, went to the sunflower. So I'm sorry you didn't get to see that. I tried. Hopefully it'll come back. Let me know if it was buzzing behind me, because you never know. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I got 2 of the Autumn Colors Black Eyed Susans. Let's see how tall these will get. 20 to 24 inches. I don't know if these are going to go in the center bed, but they will definitely go in one of the beds, obviously. This might go in maybe the bed with the giant sunflower, because those colors I think would look nice together. So 2 of these. Then I got 2 Celosia. These are, does it say the variety on these? It says Asian Garden, so I don't know if that's the variety name, but it says bushy with non-fading flowers, drought and heat resistant, attracts pollinators, grows 12 to 15 inches. So this is relatively short and compact. Wherever it does go, it'll definitely be in the front or near the front of a bed. So 2 of those. I think at this point I can keep the plants up here. Then I got, well, I think the seeds are the least exciting, so we'll save those for last. But I got 2 more echinacea. These are the Fresco Apricot. And let's see the height on these. Oh, this is only zone 4 through 9. Still should be just fine in the raised bed. Height 29 inches. That's interesting. Usually there is a range, and this is just like, you know what? Nope, it's going to be 29 inches. So this one is a little taller than, I already forgot the name, Sweet Fuchsia. So this one will probably also go in the center bed. Maybe I'll do those 4 and then add some pansies to it once I get those. But I just think that color is really stunning. Move these down so you can see the last 2 that I got. The ones that are getting tangled together with everything are 2 of the Verbena, and this is, I don't think this says a variety anywhere. Well, it does say Verbena bonariensis, but I don't know if that's the variety. So this one is actually an annual. I think, was everything else a perennial so far? So these are annuals. These I will end up pulling or leave in the bed over winter and pull them in the spring because it does say protect from frost. This will get 4 to 6 feet. Probably not in a container, planting these near the end of the season, but I like this shape. I call this kind of more like a whimsical growing habit, but this helps to fill out a bed really nicely, whereas Echinacea, even though I love it, it is a bit more compact, so it doesn't fill out the space nearly as much as something like this does, even though this isn't very dense. But I like having the different habits of the plants in my garden. I don't know where these are going to go yet. I'm not planting anything today because it is too hot for me to want to do that, but at least now I have these on hand. And then last, I got some more Gomphrena. This is Cosmic Flair. And I got this because Gomphrena probably gives me the least issues in the garden. It's just very problem-free, just does its thing, and it looks great even as it starts to dry in the garden. So I wanted to get these 2. Again, really good height off of these. They sprawl out, so they fill out the space really nicely. So those are all the plants. Now let me show you the seeds. I feel bad saying that they weren't quite as exciting, but I got first peas. I got Super Sugar Snap peas. These I'm going to plant to grow up my sunflower trellises. I do that every fall and every spring. This will be the 3rd year, I think, of doing that. I will show that in a video. Next, I got radishes because I did need some more. So radishes, these are the cherry bell, and they typically have a very short days to maturity. Like this says ready to harvest in just 25 days. So I will be doing multiple rounds of these. These are probably gonna go in the back raised bed, I think, where the Envy zinnias were. So I have those, and then I have 2 that don't always do great. I think fall usually is a better season for cool crops, at least the last few years in Chicago, because the springs the last couple of years, it's been too cold for these to really start to germinate and grow, and then it just jumps to where it's too hot and my cool season crops start to bolt. So fall is usually a bit more stable, but we'll see how it goes this year. Broccoli, I have decided to try again. I gave up on it last year because it always just bolted before I got any of the broccoli heads, but we'll see how this does. And then I got some beets. Beets for me, I think maybe the first year they did well, beginner's luck, I'm not sure, and then just not that great. I think maybe I'm not planting them deep enough, so I might try a bit deeper this season. I think these will be in the raised beds with the radishes and maybe the broccoli, or I might put the broccoli somewhere else, but those are the 4 seed packets. I will probably plant the flowers before I plant the seeds. Yeah, I'll probably do that 2 different times, just because the flowers are obviously going to have immediate impact to look pretty in the garden. The seeds are going to take a little bit longer, and those I'm growing to harvest and eat. So I think that's everything, right? That's everything I got. I'm like trying to think back. Yeah, that was my first of many fall garden hauls. So I will definitely need to get pansies. Probably up here, not a ton more that I'm going to have to plant. And then my front pots. So the pots that I have on the front stairs, those will need a fall makeover. So it'll probably be pansies for up here, fall plants for the pots down. And then obviously I will show you as I plant all of these. So that's going to be everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the gardens up at Andersonville. We did not see any cats this time, unfortunately. And I will see you in the next video where I'm sure we'll be planting something. Bye.